Hi there and welcome. My name is Dani Henderson, spiritualtherapist.com. And today the two women in the screen are here to witness, and particularly one of them, Elena Danaan, is here to share actual history, the rewriting of the real history of planet Earth. And before we start, the two women in the screen have been through a whole lifetime of understanding on and off planet, upsets, as we all have, most of us. For those that watch, hopefully you have the mind to open, the heart to love, and the ears to hear. First of all, I'm going to welcome Elena Danaan. She is a global emissary for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Good morning, Elena Danaan.
Hi, Dani. Hi, dear Laura, and good morning or evening to both of you. I'm very happy to share this with you today.
Yes, it's wonderful. It's taken us a few weeks to get together, but timing is always the reason. Because of what's happened this week, the timing was that the three of us finally got together. So 𝗏𝗏 Eisenhower in the lower screen is frozen for a moment. She's in a tricky place for Wi-Fi, but made every effort as always to be here and be present. There she is. 𝗏𝗏 Eisenhower is the great-granddaughter of the former President Dwight Eisenhower, and she is one of the most brilliant brains of our time, especially when it comes to astrology, DNA. 𝗏𝗏 Eisenhower, please say hello, my love.
Oh, hello, and thanks so much for putting this together, Dani. Wonderful to be with both of you. Wonderful to be with you, Elena and Dani.
You too, darling. Your Wi-Fi is a bit dodgy, but hopefully we'll be able to. Yeah, we'll do our best. We'll do our best. We're not going to stop now. So thank you, darling. It's so good to see you, 𝗏𝗏. And Elena Danaan, would you please discuss with the public what happened this week?
Well, Dani, this week I was invited to attend a meeting of the High Council of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. It was the first time for me. And it was because they had finally agreed to amend one of the sections of the Prime Directive. You need to realize that the Galactic Federation of Worlds is a very, very big organization. And when they modify laws or they bring new laws, everyone needs to agree. And so it takes years sometimes. And for such a thing, well, Earth is making a change. The history of Earth has allowed to make a change in this Prime Directive. So I may remind a little bit what it was about. This Prime Directive that has been amended, this amendment concerned the Orion-Gray hybridization program. In 1955, an agreements, as we know, have been signed by the MJ12 and France behind the back of President Eisenhower. We know all that. We also know that these agreements with the Orion group, the Greys, the 𝗏𝗏, were about allowing them to abduct people. But what was signed, and it was said also before, it was concerning only a group of prisoners. There was 150 prisoners. Why prisoners? Because the government and the army had full power on prisoners. Prisoners have no sovereign rights. So they could speak on their behalf and sell them for abductions, experiments. These Greys, of course, had given for as an excuse, as they always do, we are a dying race. We need new genetic material to renew our DNA. And sometimes they even lie saying that they come from the future, that they are us. Well, this is a little bit hard to swallow because they are Greys, we are humans, and we are two different species. How can they be us from the future? Anyway, the agreement was not respected on the side of the 𝗏𝗏. Of course, they always do this because it follows an agenda. They, instead of keeping 250 prisoners, they extended very quickly to millions per year of abductees. They never had the right to do that. But because they are very powerful and they were in the place, nobody dared kicking them out. they were like this, and the governments allowed that because they were scared of them. Well, we all know the story of 𝗏𝗏, who tried to help President Eisenhower to get this agreement rescinded. We all know now about the Galactic Federation of Worlds helping the good side of the government since the early 1950s, building secret space programs such as Solar Warden and all of this. Well, these abductions were performed by the Nebu concerned hybridization. They created, mass-produced hybrids, gray human hybrids with gray soul, means connected to the hive in Orion. And the plan was one day that these hybrids would take over the humans of Earth by coming into this society. They never could attack Earth by force. The Galactic Federation would have cut them. So they bred themselves in. Now all these hybrids are ready. The grays have been kicked out, but the hybrids are ready, and they waited only one thing: our consent, us to welcome them. That's when this amendment was created, put in action. This amendment says that, in fact, that even if we welcome them, we are coerced, and it is a coercion to the benefit of the grays and to our detriment. So that doesn't count, it's interference. So however we welcome these grays, they will not come because it's not a decision from our free will. So I was taken on board a ship to an undisclosed location where I assist to a meeting. And I was told this, the chairwoman, actually, she was an Osman race lady, very majestic. She manifests a holographic representation of the Prime Directive, which I had seen already. It's not a written document. I mean, you know, they do things differently. It's a sphere of data. It's big like this. And she, so she said to me this amendment. So I'm going to read to you now what it is about. So it's the part 9 of this amendment. What was first, how it was before, you had so a first clause that was saying, so section 9, it is not permitted to make contact with or interfere with lesser evolved races unless they are threatened by an outside source. In that case, it is the moral obligation of the personnel of the Galactic Federation of Worlds to evaluate the situation to determine the suitable course of action. And the amendment is as follows. The free will of a stage 1 or stage 2 planetary culture works in accordance with the greater and universal law of evolution when not coerced or influenced by an outside source working for their own benefit to the detriment of the said lesser evolved culture. Manipulation of free will upon a lesser evolved culture is nullified regarding the greater universal law of evolution. It is in this case considered by the Prime Directive as interference, and the Galactic Federation of Worlds reserves the right to intervene. So this is what happened. What do you think of these ladies?
Laura.
Haha. Yeah, wow. Gosh, a lot of questions come up because there are so many kind of hybrids amongst us, or we're still dealing with the deep state, the elite, you know, kind of reptilian bloodlines, or those that are aligned with this agenda. You're going to see that begin to dissolve itself as far as its power and grip that it has over humanity, and the things with the jabs and how they're trying to genetically modify the human race. That's going to be somehow corrected with all this. I mean, it seems like whatever we're up against as far as the narratives being steered are going to reverse themselves, and there's going to be an opportunity for humanity to heal. Is that what's going to happen now?
Yes, yes. I believe this I understand this for two reasons. First, because there is officially now a law that allows the Galactic Federation to physically intervene to stop coercion. There's something as well regarding the repair of the DNA of the population. The original pattern molecule of the primary human DNA, unspoiled, has been brought back by the Intergalactic Confederation, and it's actually 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who's back with them, who brought back this sample that is going to be useful to repair people's DNA, whoever needs it, who has had their DNA altered.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is part of being in agreement to this? I thought, wow. I mean, but is he correcting his position back when? I mean, maybe I have my history wrong as far as the Anunnaki is concerned, but anyway, keep going about 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Yes, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was a master geneticist.
Oh,
and
are you frozen, Elena? I probably am frozen.
Internet is quite difficult. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was a master geneticist who wanted to save the human race, and he failed because his opponent 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, his half brother, had other plans.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, right? Like,
oh, internet is. I don't hear you, Laura.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
It's all right. Let's just keep going. Just speak in short sentences.
Hear you.
Yes. Yeah, Laura, speak in short sentences and then stop, and let's just make sure we can hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just listening because there's so much disinformation about the Anunnaki and the history. So keep going. Very cool what you're sharing.
Thank you. Well, what I know is that 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is a good guy, and he was gone. He had left Earth a very long time ago because he couldn't do anything. The other faction of Anunnaki were so powerful into enslaving human part of the human species on Earth, not all, but just a part of them, a good part of them, and changing their DNA to really lock the evolution. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 left, but when he left, he took with him samples of pure, unspoiled, beautiful human DNA. And they have, the Intergalactic Confederation has a DNA bank somewhere in another galaxy, and they have a DNA bank of all life in the universe. It's something I've heard about that sounds quite amazing. And they had that, and he brought it back for repairing people whose DNA has been altered. That will be long to do, because I think the medbed are coming into the equation for this thing. Yeah. But when I speak about gray hybrids, it doesn't concern all hybrids, because we are going to live in a cosmopolitan culture. We are going to be all mixed, and and that's going to be fun, trying new adventures, everyone.
Yeah.
But
like the hybridization thing is inevitable, but it's not under the control. Like that.
Yes. The only hybrids this prime directive, this story concern is the hybrids who have been mass produced by the Orion group, the 𝗏𝗏, to replace humans. It's in an agenda that is to the detriment of us, humanity. And these specific gray hybrids, they are special because they have a gray consciousness, which is a hive consciousness. They're all linked to the gray hive in Orion. So if
some of the representatives, though, like the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, or those that are channeling, like Bashar, who's channeling 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, that seem to be connected to like the more positive grays? Is it?
Well, what I believe is that anybody who asks you to welcome them, who ask for your consent, means that at the start, they don't have the right to come. If someone asks you for your consent or to welcome them, that means there's something wrong. Why don't they come like this? Why do they need your consent? You know, it's like the thing, they need your consent. They can't force you. So that means at the start, it goes against your sovereign rights. There's something wrong. And I've heard, I've never followed the people you mentioned, but I've heard about it. I think it is part of the plan that some people have, you know, been groomed to send this message. I mean, I've heard insane stuff that some people are asking people to draw grays on their windows. And,
oh my God.
And, yeah, draw a gray being on your window and look at the sky and ask for their ships to come. I mean, how insane is that?
Yeah, it's
how
so
insane is that?
Yeah.
Oh, can I
Come on, people.
Oh, sorry, Danny, you were gonna say.
No,
I was
darling.
just gonna
Laura,
ask about Inanna, with the Enki and Enlil, Inanna, you know, the goddess Inanna. I just wanted your thoughts on that. But Danny, go for it. I'll ask you later.
Well, I was just
maybe
gonna
it'd
say,
be another interview.
well, there's so much to cover here, but also there are people that are going to be going, what on earth are they talking about? There'll be others that go, I fully understand this. I've been paying attention to this. And it doesn't mean we're not paying attention. The information comes at the time we're supposed to hear it. But then how do we break it down to those that know nothing about this? So if you look at, for example, 𝗏𝘃𝗧, little places like that, little villages around the world where there are covens, witches' covens, and some witches' covens are nefarious, and most witches' covens
About
are really
𝗏𝘃𝗧, like where
beautiful.
Stonehenge?
Yeah.
𝗏𝘃𝗧?
You got 𝗏𝘃𝗧,
Okay.
Stonehenge, and Glastonbury on that corner. That those ley lines, and some of the signaling to let witches know that they are witches. They'll put, you know, the pentagram in there or the pentacle in the window to say, hey, a witch lives here. You know, there's lots of signaling that happens. And so, Elena, when you're saying about people being encouraged to draw a grey alien and put it in the window, that's consenting to let greys come and mess with you. And there are other populations of other different beings that live on different planets, whether we can accept it or not. Those of us that can't accept it have been brainwashed and threatened by fear to stop looking stupid. And the governments always say, oh, did you see little green men? Personally, I've seen many different species of my brothers and sisters on planet and off planet. I am yet to see a little green man. Can I just ask either of you, have you actually seen a little green man, either of you? Seriously?
No.
No.
That doesn't mean there isn't. But
right, exactly.
No, I mean, I know, well, I know you've had experiences though. No, no. Only the one I create with my imagination, the little green man in the woods, you know?
Right.
Like the green man, like the
So Laura, let's come to you, because when you mentioned Inanna, a lot of people will not have heard about her. And again, this is going back down the kind of archaeological, oh God, it's freaking internet. Laura, share with us about Inanna, please.
Is going into the 7 gates of hell to deal with her dark sister 𝗏𝘃𝗃𝗃, and some of the mythologies connected to Gilgamesh and some of these archetypes that, you know, kind of came and helped her. And then when she surfaced out of the underworld, she still had a lot of that demonic energy. And so the Venus archetype, which I feel has transferred over to the Magdalene lineage, has a lot to do with this sort of underworld journey of going through these gates, these gatekeepers, passing these gateways that is like our chakras, you know, these frequency fences also in our DNA, in order to complete the cycle of maiden mother crone, you know, Persephone coming out of the underworld. And Inanna archetype is very much a part of that. But the mythology is very confusing, you know. It's been associated with Ishtar and Venus, and also like the lunar, you know, goddesses, and how that goes into Glastonbury and the hierogamic union and King Arthur and the goddess energy that's present with goddess Danu and Rhiannon and Elena Danan, whose name is, so I always like, when I think of Elena, I think of the goddess Danu. And so I just, the lineage of Inanna in all these different parts of the world. And so the labyrinth, Ariadne, is in Crete and also the Hopi. So it's just the presence of the goddess and how, to me, it sort of corrects the Enki-Enlil timelines and is supportive of, you know, and then it goes into Isis, Osiris, and Set. It's very similar, the two brothers, right? Enki-Enlil, Set, and Osiris, and Isis. It reminds me of like Inanna, Enki, and Enlil.
Yes, totally, Laura. The Egyptian spirituality has been taken from the Mesopotamian, the Sumerian mythology. The Egyptian gods were Anunnaki gods, and the legends and the myth have followed with different names, but it is remnant of the first knowledge about the Anunnaki that we knew. Yes, Isis, which is Sotis, Satet, it's Ishtar. It is also linked with Sirius, the star Sirius. Some link it to Venus as well, or the moon, Astarte. But in the ancient Egyptians, it was the star Sirius. It's the balance between the feminine and the masculine, which is the secret of life. You know, everything that is being blocked by
the ley lines and glass. Yeah.
Yes, the caduceum, the double coil of the DNA, you know, the coil of power, the serpentine, the two serpents, the white and the red, that unfold in the pineal gland to open the vortex. That is something that human bodies have, and that is being divinized by the Roman Church, notably, but especially those who are behind. Yes, all of this knowledge is being brought back, and as the Earth shifts in a higher density, all this feminine energy is rebalancing and giving access to the knowledge before the scriptures say that this knowledge has been given to Eve, to a woman, because it's the feminine energy, which is a vortex, a receptacle. It's the cup, it's a chalice, it's the grail. And this is the cup that is, if the cup is, you know, enabled or recognized or, you know, activated, well, the Kundalini that is dormant in it can awaken. And that's what we are meant to do, to take back our power, awaken the feminine energy. And, you know, that's so much misinformation. We are so powerful. I know it's your field of knowledge, Laura, and you are amazing talking about all these things. So I don't know what you say about that.
Just amazing. Yes. Well, tree of knowledge, tree of life, rebuilding the tree of life architecture of our DNA, the root races and the cloister races, the star seeds, how we're helping each other switch these dormant strands on and repairing, you know, the hierogamic union and kind of doing that natural grid work. You know, because it was definitely messed with in areas like Avebury and Glastonbury, King Arthur and the Magdalene energy and the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 template was really the power centers on a planetary grid level that we've all are carriers in our DNA and divine inheritance. So we're reclaiming our divine inheritance of this, connected also to the mitochondrial DNA, which connects with the ether and the presence of the ether energy, which is correcting the inverted pentagram to turn it upright so that we are able to integrate the ether energy into our nucleic acids of our DNA, the earth, air, fire, water, and the platonic solids to correct the reversals and the distortions. And it takes a lot of inner work. It takes going into the dark night of the soul and into the underworld, where we actually are living mythologies, we're living archetypes, we're living embodiments of this greater love story that is encoded in our DNA, which to me is the true love story, the hierogamic union of 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. And we're divorcing the imposter and the patriarchal false king of tyranny archetype that has cast humans into these distortions that have played out in what society has indoctrinated our children into believing about themselves and their gender and the way that the masculine and feminine relate, that we're doing massive healing, even though they're taking a major step up in how they're trying to mess with our kids. I feel enough star seeds are being born and enough of us are here to awaken people that the insanity is getting so bad that it's pushing people to the edge so that we can like really see all the madness and insanity and not fall for, you know, this sort of transgender sort of program. There's nothing wrong with being transgender if that's where you're at, but the indoctrination that they're throwing upon humanity right now to stunt this next growth period of reclaiming our DNA divine inheritance. They're doing everything they can to mess with our children's heads, but there are too many intelligent starseeds that won't allow it. And like you said, this end of this kind of agreement and treaty, or the mother is home.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys both embody it, and so it's always wonderful to talk to you both because I feel so much better.
You guys,
I mean, this is who we are, and this is what we do.
It is. And again, if I'm just going to bring things down to a simpler level for people who are just kind of awakening to the information on some levels, because I'm always mindful of that, you know, and you two are just so adept at your subjects and your experiences from this incarnation and others. That's why you're here bringing information and messages. So guys, we are not bashing the masculine patriarchal, although it does need a bit of a kicking. What we're doing is highlighting the fact that this is the return of the masculine and feminine joining together. You know, it's not about the females are better than males. That's just complete nonsense.
No.
Men have been so extraordinarily wounded. Men have been horrifically maligned and abused emotionally, because we've all, as humans, been purposefully socially engineered to think a certain way, to act a certain way, to be a certain way. It's gone against our primal instincts to love, to be free, to be who we be. Some of us are made with more male energy. Some of us are made with more female, whatever bodies we take on. On a side note there, as a therapist, I have worked with so many different confused children and adults, and I'll tell you a very quick story. I have a beautiful man friend who became a friend after years. I used to be his client, him and his wife. When he was born, he was a woman, and he was a very, very masculine lesbian woman. And I met with him and his lovely wife. And at that point, he'd become a man. And I went with them. They had a little boy, and they were very beautifully happy. They had certain issues as a couple. And one of the things that I really want to express here, and I am going to be doing a broadcast on this, is that none of us are taught. Parents aren't taught, and the children that feel they're in the wrong body, and the person that feels they're in the wrong body, nobody tells you the horrific journey of doing the change, of taking the drugs, of being a female, born female, and having to inject yourself to keep the female hormones down every day. They create some of the worst suicidal tendencies, the most miserable, hard life that you can imagine. So we do not know what we don't know until we know it. There are people that suffer. So any parents who are socially engineered in this generation to be helicopter, oh, my child knows their mind, let my kid have their mind. I'm not saying don't let your kid have their mind or their voice, but please be so cleverly clear on not letting your child make a decision to take a piece of their body away, or to become something that they weren't born as, until they're much older and they have their own mind and they're not just following a trend. Because I know a story of two girls who wanted to become masculine, and they both ended up killing themselves. Okay, it is happening. It's a pandemic. It's part of the pandemic. It's part of the harming of humanity. So these are just some little things think about, guys, parents, or you yourself, if you think you're in the wrong body. Some of us think we're in the wrong body because we can remember our star selves, our star seed selves. It's a very confusing time.
Yeah.
And then back to some of the, go ahead.
Oh God, that was beautiful. I mean, we got to learn to love the body that we've been given. It's like, I'm just so glad that you shared all that. Because I know it's very difficult, and it's not about judgment of anybody that is struggling with it. It's just, we have to be very careful. It's like, I was a total tomboy. I mean, I know we put a lot of posts out there on Facebook, like talking about, I'm glad my mom didn't like, you know, determine that I was a boy because I was a tomboy, and I, you know, and we were sharing stories, funny stories in one of our past broadcasts. But one of the things I did was, when my sister put gum in my hair, I cut all my hair off when I was a kid, and everybody thought they were like, are you a boy or are you a girl? And they just didn't know. And so then I messed with them. And then I went to the YMC like overnight camp, and I pretended my name was Chris and I was a dude. And I played with like the boys, and we talked Tonka trucks and race cars. And like, I was totally like best friends with these guys. And we were like total buddies. And then my mom comes and picks me up, and she's like, hey, Laura. They're like, Laura. And they realized I was a girl, right? And it was like, I could totally just be like, you know, I was like just an androgynous like kid, but I wasn't even thinking about it. I wasn't trying to have a sex change or anything. I was just enjoying just being me. I just want people to love themselves, just love being you, right? And like, yeah, I'm, you know, who cares what my sexual preference is? But yeah, I'm pretty much a married woman. I'm mother. I have 2 kids, and I guess you could consider me, you know, straight, you know, not that I couldn't fall in love with a female soul, but my God, people, like, we're just trying to protect you, and we want you to just be authentic and love yourself. You know, what society is rebelling against is the programmings that society like indoctrinated humans into. Like, society's rebelling against it. So it's a program on top of a program. We got to break all these programs and just learn to love yourself and the body that you were given. Because as much as I, you know, was able to kind of like act like or have fun with the boys, I always had like a doll and like babies, and I was always like a mother too. And, you know, it's like we have masculine and feminine energies that circulate in our bodies. Mm-hmm. The hierogamic union and the twin flame energy is within us, and our DNA upgrades and activates when we recognize this internal union of the masculine and feminine. Sometimes we're going to be a little bit more masculine. Sometimes we're going to be a little bit more feminine. You know, people think I'm like super feminine, or that I, you know, brought up, you know, the return of the divine feminine, but it's like, and I'm so glad you said this about the masculine, it's just as much about the return of the divine masculine. And I have probably more of a connection with my masculine side sometimes than my feminine side. And, but you know what? It's all about integration of polarity, loving the self, being authentic, being free. Just free yourself and stop with all the triggers and being offended by everything. We got bigger we got bigger battles. We got to protect our children from pedophilia and satanic ritual abuse. Get over your triggers and politicizing them.
Absolutely, absolutely. One quick thing back on the way that people don't know who they are, or we're trying to find out what if we fit in this body or not, is I did a private session a few weeks ago with a beautiful woman who identifies as a gay woman. She's now married to her wife. And she was telling me that she was so happy that her mother did not encourage her to make the change. Because as a young child and teenager, we don't give a shit what our parents say or what other adults say, because our friends are our world. Our influence is there, right? We are very vulnerable. We think the world, adults suck, and they do. Adults suck on so many levels. They do. I still think that, you know, they're in the social engineering program of their own at that point. Oh, the children must do as they're told, whatever. Here's my point. This lesbian woman, and if you're triggered by the word lesbian, that's about you. That's got nothing to do with me. I am not going to be forced to worry about whether I say LGBTQXRY. I'm not going to worry about that. And how dare the people that put that in and upset everyone. We don't need labels. We can just be the hell we want to be.
Be you. Just
a woman,
be you.
Androgynous, an alien, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Let authorities tell you what to do. They have no rights over you. None. And so this woman said that she knew as a little girl, 12, 13, 14, she knew that she really liked girls. And so she terrorized herself inside thinking, I can only like girls if I am a boy. Do you understand how significant that is? She was tortured. She wanted to be with girls, but thought only boys can be with girls. You know, she was in a conservative environment. And she says now that she's free and she's happy and she's married to a woman, that she can be feminine, she can be masculine, but she's still in a female body. And she says, I'm so glad my mom didn't let me make a sex change, become a man, you know, and this is something so many parents, people need to hear today, really need to hear, you know, we send you our love, we do, there's no judgment here. We just send so much love during this confusing time, just to blast the arse off of the confusing time and the social engineered programs that we've all been forced and suffered under. But no more. Elena,
well said.
Elena Danan, my love, what would you like to say?
Well, you know, I was a bit like Laura. I mean, sometimes people come in this world and they have the, you know, the animus and the anima, as Carl Jung was calling it. Just in the right place in the body. So when I was a little girl, when I was little, I wasn't playing with dolls. I was playing with cars. All the games that the little boys were, planes and soldiers and because it was more fun. Why? Because
Right.
it was who I am: adventure, imagination, exploration, fights, you know, like, yeah, it was great. But I didn't never want to be a boy. I was very girly. I wanted always to wear dresses. I hated trousers, always plastic jewelry and always things, and, you know, like a typical pink girl, you know. But I was having playing with voice games. The problem is that the society puts us in you know, in boxes. You're a girl, you need to play doll. If you don't play doll, you have mental problems. No, stop
God,
that.
Barbies?
You know, Barbies, I know, right? It's so boring. But and I always liked boys, and I'm a real woman, and I always embrace that I'm a girl. But sometimes I want to do other stuff that women don't do, like, you know, just I don't know, when I was a kid. No.
Can I just say, Elena Danan, the global emissary for the Galactic Federation of Worlds, you are actually doing something that most women and most men in the entire world have never done and probably will never do, and that's beam up and down to bloody high council meetings off the planet, which is what you did this week, which literally changes the face of the Prime Directive, which you said has taken many, 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 many decades to get the many, many hundreds and hundreds of star systems and planetary ambassadors to come together and upgrade it. Now, would you say that's something like the Americans call the amendment, their law, what's their rule book called? You know, every country has one, you know, a list of rules, a status, a document. What's it called, Laura?
I don't know.
You know, the amendments. What's the collective name for it?
Like Constitution?
There you go. There you go. The Constitution of Rights, right? Every country has one on the planet. And in the galactic arenas above us, as well as above, so below, it's just the same.
Like law of one, cosmic and natural law.
Right.
Go to the higher level, right?
Yes, the Prime Directive is based on they call it the greater universal law of evolution. It's based on that. That's the way they can apply the Prime Directive to anyone who is not even in part of the Galactic Federation, because it's it's a, how to say, putting in law under in the form of laws, a universal natural law, to put it in a set of sections and, you know, legal system. But at the origin, it's the legal system of a law that is a law, cosmic law. So everyone is abides by, you know. So it takes time to adapt it, and, you know, anyway, so it's done. But I want to add regarding to what we were saying. we need to also to keep in mind that we are not these bodies. We borrow them for temporary incarnation, and after we're going to move to another body, but we choose them. And we choose them, and we have a bound with these bodies. It's our vehicle. It allows us to perform our mission and to experience, a senses, pleasure. And we must have a relationship of love, because love is a higher frequency. Love is a flow of the universe. Love, water, and crystals have the same frequency. So love and water, it's the greater flow of the universe, and that binds everything together in a perfect union. Love. Let us love the body we are borrowing. If it's not the gender we would like to, embrace the experience. Okay, so what's going to be the experience? Oh, I'm in another gender, I'm not this body, by the way, and the dark ones, they are trying every way they can to take our sovereignty away from us, and of course distract us, and take away the feminine, the divine feminine from women, and take away the divine masculine from men, and try to do a blend non-binary species. And when it's non-binary, it's like you need 2 electrodes to make a current to make life, and when it's
right, the electric magnetic, and it is like positive and negative charge, like battering up. God, sometimes I can't wake up in the morning and I think I need jumper cables like on each earlobe. But yeah, the positive, the magnetic and the electric. The electrical energy is the masculine, the magnetic energy of the feminine, the electromagnetic spectrum, and that spectrum of frequency opens up when we can begin to appreciate the body we've been given and have fun with it. All the different archetypes, like that's why I love tarot. It's like, the magician, the high priestess, the emperor, the hierophant, all these different archetypes. We get to play and enjoy it, and then go into that zero, that fool, the zero, that the fool who can fall down and get back up again and just laugh, and to find the humor in all of it, and find that sort of neutrality. And that's better than gender confusion, is to find neutrality. Just be neutral, be free, be zero, be the fool, which is all the archetypes combined, where, it's like we're gonna have our feminine side come out and our masculine side come out, based on the circumstances and our environment, or based in just who we choose, to love, or who we have an affinity with. But let's have fun. Let's not, it's like all too serious and too like offended and too triggered. We have future generations, and we've got so many other things to address, but this is important to address too. But yes, to me, like a lot of these scandals, like looking at like the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing, like all over the news, it's like, look at how the masculine and feminine is duking it out on the world stage. It's so bizarre. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Yes, it's all about experience. We're here to experience, and the confusion, it's just an agenda from the dark ones to take the power away from us. And we need to, and it also, they try to kill humor. You cannot have humor. If you have humor, other people feel offended. Oh, that's the thing, I am offended. Stop. When you let the emotional control you, you are manipulable. You can be manipulated.
We can't feed the victim consciousness. It's
no.
And it's so interesting. There's so many levels. Like you mentioned the the court thing going on television. How many hours and how much time is that taken up? And we're watching a male and a female be and hear things, private things from a marriage. But, and if anyone thinks that kind of conversation between 2 people who are supposed to love each other is acceptable, of course it isn't. It is so abusive. So is there an agenda also from the dark state to try and infiltrate? This is how famous people treat each other. It is absolutely horrific. Anybody with half a bean for a brain will know that the way that we speak to each other, should be loving. And if you've got a problem and you're all hot-headed about it, walk away, calm yourself down, come back and have a conversation. For every man and woman out there who is a parent, if you are arguing and fighting around your children, the children looking at their father, they're going to witness that. And that's a program in them that's how males treat females, and vice versa. So we all have a responsibility to mind what we're saying. We choose to get angry. We choose to feel hurt. It is a choice. Nobody can make you feel a certain way. They can be screaming in your face, abusing you, and that's not okay by anyone to do that. But you can be looking at them and you can choose to go into your normal fall down. I mean, I've been, had these horrific relationships, and I know that other people in the screen have suffered in that way too. I mean, who hasn't? It's very sad. But somebody can be yelling at you. Instead of letting yourself go into the trauma, the inner child, you can look at them and say, God, you're ugly. God, your breath stinks. God, shut up, shut up, shut up. You know what I mean? It's just like we have the power to shift the energetic frequency that we respond to someone or something with. We are so unbelievably powerful. Now, you mentioned the word mitochondria. Now, a lot of people don't know, and many, many do know, the center of the cell, the nucleus of the cells in your body has what's known as the mitochondria. Now, there are people that say the mitochondria is the battery of each cell. It is the little power up. So here's what I do. I suffered for years with chronic fatigue. Absolutely dreadful, awful illness. You can't get off the sofa. You can't even make a cup of tea. You have just no energy. And I taught myself to imagine going into one cell in my body, and I would focus on using my imagination. That's what it's there for, guys. Please use your imagination. From when you were a child, it's shut down. That's just your imagination. Yes, use your imagination, bring it back to life. It's yours to do so with. So I would imagine going into a cell, and I would imagine in the middle of the cell is a little man who looks a little bit like Mario Kart, actually. And please don't attach any evil to that, because I don't know if that's evil. That's just the image I see. A little guy on a stationary bike. So he's on a bike with no wheels, and he's pedaling away. And I literally imagine this little man in the mitochondria pedaling away to power up that cell. And as he's pedaling, there's electromagnetic frequency coming out and expanding the cell. And then guess what happens? Every other cell in your body, of which there are billions and billions, also mimic. That is how the cellular structure in the body works in a nanosecond of explaining. Well, it's a bit longer than a nanosecond, but it's such a good way. It bloody works. And all of the patients and clients I've had over the many years, I can't tell you how many take the time, breathe in deep, release the brain chemistry, calm themselves down, focus on the cell, the little man on the bike, boom, 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 boom. And here's the thing, if you don't believe it can work, then it definitely won't. Absolutely, you're right. Whatever you think, you're right. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't.
Brilliant. Oh man, that was beautiful. I just have to say something. Yeah, I mean, perspective is everything. I remember whether it's about dealing with conflict or strife or drama, the way we perceive a situation has everything to do with how we change it. Just like you said about the imagination and with the guy on the bike. This is when I lived on the road and I was like broke, right? Or like didn't have any money. If I was in sort of a poverty consciousness about it, or like a feeling of lack, I would manifest more and more things to reinforce my anxiety. But when I shifted my perspective and I said, I'm right where I need to be, I'm totally abundant, and I'm totally free, I'm exactly where I need to be, I would manifest money out of the ground. I would run into the right people. I would manifest miracles because I changed my perspective of the way I was relating to my situation. So I just had to share that based on what you were sharing. And it looks like you've disappeared, but the power of the mind, that's why the magician archetype is connected to Mercury. Mercury knows how to like travel between dimensions, knows how to, find perspective, knows how to be the magician and pull miracles out of nothing. We can materialize things when we start to switch on these dormant abilities. So I just remember like being broke or poor and changing my perspective and frequency to abundance and wholeness and being exactly where I need to be. And I manifested money, I manifested miracles, and I met the right people. And before that shift of perspective, though, I was manifesting more and more things to reinforce my negative thought forms, So we got to remember the power of the mind. I just had to share that.
So beautiful. Sorry, Elena, go ahead.
No, this is very important. And you mentioned Mercury. Mercury holds the caduceus. He is the messenger. He is the one who makes the link between the two polarities. You know, he's the messenger between above and below. And that's very important. And yes, we have the power to change the hologram of reality, starting by our life, just starting by us. I've experienced that many times as well. You know, just being in a bad situation and just manifesting that there's no other option. There's no plan B, because when you say there's a plan B, that means you allow plan A to fail. So there's never a plan B. That means A is gonna work, and it's working because you make it happen, because you manifest. You know, imagination, it's not a fantasy, it is a power. Manifestation, imagination, it's the power of visualization. What is it? Imprinting a creative thought onto the hologram of reality. That's how the medbag work, you know, imprinting a more healthy and powerful hologram onto a damaged and lower frequency one. Nature tends towards perfection. And the more powerful pattern, positive pattern, will take over the bad one and transform it and take over. That's the law of nature. It always tends toward perfection. And we have this power in this. So yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, we are so brilliant. We are so brilliant. Us humans, we are such magnificent beings, each one of us. And anyone that tells you that you're not, then they're not telling you the truth. And nobody has the right, not your mum, your dad, your granddad, your teachers, your lover, your husband. I don't care who they are. No one is allowed to tell you how to feel, how to think, and what you are and who you be. Only you get to choose that. You're the one that came in this body. So you came through a birth canal. You know, some people say, oh, I gave you life, I own you. Nobody owns you. Nobody owns you. And this is something you've got to stop being a victim and a martyr to. And the label, I've done a few videos lately on my channel, because there's so many important subjects. There's just not enough hours in the day. And I have a message to BoobTube. BoobTube, stop taking subscribers. Knock it off, because all you do is show what losers you are. You're scared of three girls having a conversation, really? Boo-hoo, waha, knock it off. I'm telling you. And guess what? There are 5 recordings of this conversation happening. 5 recordings of this conversation happening right now. Yeah? 5 elements: fire, water, wind, earth, and us. We are the 5th element. And you can shove it where the sun don't shine, because if you take this down and you mess with my channel again, there are 5 other recordings, including mine, which I have. Enough of your shit, enough of your lies, enough of your abuse, enough of your bullying. We don't stand for it. 𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗂? Capiche? Now, Elena, one of the extraordinarily important parts of your visit to this beautiful council that are here alongside planet Earth and taking down the evil that runs planet Earth, the retards at the top, there was mention of the MJ12. Now, it's very important to understand and accept that we parrot, us people, we just parrot, that's what his story is. We hear something, we repeat the story. I've done it myself 1,000 times. We've been repeating a story that the MJ12, who were the administrative cabinet that stood alongside President Dwight Eisenhower, we've been all saying that they made a decision for the rest of humanity. And you correctly course-corrected the fact that they made it for the prisoners that they took their sovereign rights away from. Could you speak any more to that? Because it's always looked like President Dwight Eisenhower was dominated by the cabinet. And, you know, so many of us have said that story. That's actually not true. You know, we have maligned the souls of those people on that cabinet.
Well, he was actually dominated by them. He couldn't do anything. He didn't have the power to rescind these agreements, you know. And because the thing is, these agreements were binding the government to accept the abductions. And, you know, the grays are very tricky. So because the MJ12 validated for just a group of prisoners, it was too late, you know. The agreements were in the place. The agreements were saying, the Greys were saying, you allow us in exchange for doing abductions. If you break the treaty, you say, you stop the abductions and you F off, that's it. That's what Eisenhower wanted. He wanted this treaty to be rescinded, you know, that doesn't allow the gray to do any more abduction and to just F off. But the MJ12, and they had other, you know, ramification of power with other dark stuff. But the thing is, yes, we need to know that they signed only for a group of prisoners, but the treaty was like manipulated by the Greys to abduct millions of people. But, you know, once they are in the place, it was very difficult to kick them out afterwards, you know. And yes, that's what I want to say.
Wow.
Laura.
Yeah. Well, it's like just having a bad case of lice or something, you know, it's like, it's just out of control. Kind of like what we deal with, because it's a war on consciousness, right? And our bodies are being targeted. Our consciousness is being targeted. So when we look at like bioweapons or viruses, you know, the body's only defense mechanism is to boost the immune system and to put good things in the body, to increase that which is good in order to wipe out that which is parasitic and invasive and infiltrating. So to me, it's a symptom of the imbalance of the masculine and feminine, and all these programs. To me, it's like an infection. We're born into a gaping wound, a wounded humanity. The masculine and feminine both wounded, and this gaping wound has, you know, become infected. It's an infected wound, and to me, like the Greys and these out of control sort of dark agendas, to me, are metaphorically very similar to an infection. And we're healing now this gaping wound with stepping up to this higher energy of integration of polarity, the hierogamic union, the embracing of the inner twin flame,
Yes.
and everything that we've been talking about, to me, is also what seals up their capacity to be able to feed anymore. And so the timing is such that this meeting was able to take place to eradicate this sort of thing, because I feel humanity is ready to embrace how to truly face the wound, because 𝗑𝗪𝗂𝗃, the 13th sign, is ruled by Chiron, the wounded healer, but also the ether element, and it's connected to the mother energy and the fact that she's healing, and so is the masculine, right? So that Chiron energy, how can we possibly heal if we're not transparent, if we're not humble, if we're not able to face our wounds with just spiritual maturity, instead of acting out all these different programs or all these different traumas and wounds? Because to me, we're a breeding ground for these archonic parasitic forces if we don't do this work on ourselves. And so I feel this is a huge sign that humanity is ready to take that leap, because nothing's going to save us, but we're saving ourselves. And this meeting that you had is kind of proof that humanity is ready to take that next step.
It's exactly this, Laura. It's the right moment. Humanity is ready for it. And in a way, it's very good that you're talking about, you are comparing humanity to a huge body, and with this parasitic infection. And it would seem that the Galactic Federation has been boosting the immune system since the 1950s by helping us building defense programs with the Solar Warden and US Navy and all these things. You know, that was the boosting of our immune system, the warriors, but also it wasn't only in this level, it was also at the soul level with all the envoy program and trying to awaken everyone. You know, it was on two different battlefields, the ground battlefield and the soul battlefield. Yes, boosting our immune system and awakening the electrodes, you know. So that's exactly what it is, and we are ready. Humanity is ready, and that's now proof that that's it. The Intergalactic Confederation has come back. Enki is back with to repair our DNA. I mean, it's disclosure has started. I mean, you know, it's time. It's now. Everything is at the right timing.
And I'm just so grateful. And Eisenhower, I can just feel his spirit, just really just so grateful, you know, to have this horrible sort of projection and blame placed upon him, because it's affected all of us descendants. Even if my family hasn't addressed this topic, I feel it, you know, just, you know, so I'm glad for this information to be over with, you know, because somebody who cared about humanity, who's like a father, like we're a global family. He's, you know, whatever that I'm related to him, we're all related. We're all family, right? And he loved humanity, and he would never have sold us out like that. And I'm just glad finally to hear this, because it's such a huge weight off of my soul, because it's the amount of mail that I've gotten over the years of your great grandfather sold us out to ET. Oh, God, maybe they can shut up now.
Yes, maybe they can shut up now and understand that the reality.
You can rub that in their face.
Yes, 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗏 there. Now, speaking of history in the making, the most incredible event in the entire world is happening in Orlando, Florida, on October the 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd. This is a historical world first 3-day in-person event. And two of the speakers at this event are in the screen right now, Elena Danaan and Laura Eisenhower. Now, both these ladies, as I am, as everybody on BoobTube and other platforms, were very restricted in what we can say. There's always a threat of our platform being taken down, and goodness knows all three of us have been abused and affected by the babies that run the world, the retards, and affect our desire to love and to share and to really help, you know, humanity raise up, and because we're all one big family. So you can bet your bottom dollar or your pound, whatever, that coming to this event is literally going to change consciousness. It's a leap in consciousness. It is a shift in consciousness for humanity. The speakers are unbelievable, and they will be sharing information with you that they have been forced to not share online, and they will not hold back. Now, I don't know whether you ladies want to do a little bit of a tease, a tiny tease, or just share a little bit about what you're going to bring to our beautiful audience, the attendees that come to the Galactic and Spiritual Informers Connection. Go ahead.
Well, it's going to be, summary of everything that has happened since all of this has started, and things that have never been told that are going to be exposed. And it's going to be a great, because we will all be together, and we will all compare our knowledge and share it with you. And it will be, you know, one of these rare times where all the people like us who have a bit of information come together, because we all have a part of the puzzle. Mm-hmm. And this puzzle, all the pieces will be together, and it will be very interesting to be there.
Yes, amazing. Laura.
Yeah, gosh, really, it is just lots of dot connecting, lots of research, lots of experience to, you know, kind of just pull together just sort of a larger picture of what we're going through, based in reflecting on our galactic history, based in just the stuff that Elena has brought and Alex has brought to the table, and some other individuals that I've gotten to know. I kind of like take what resonates and I kind of leave the rest. You know, there's nuggets of truth, and sometimes there's things that might not resonate, but doesn't mean that it's not truth, but it's really about embodying the truth frequency. And that's what my book is called, Into the Unified Field, Awakening the Truth Frequency, and really finding that sovereignty and being a part of this larger conversation, so that we can all assist one another in reclaiming that divine inheritance, and having an open mind, and having healthy discernment, and having the spiritual maturity to be able to relate to one another as a community, as a global family, to just really hold that example and that sacred flame of what it could look like to all be able to represent full disclosure, and also what ascension truly means. So I'll go into, just a lot of different things in regards to that, our DNA, galactic history, and what I've learned about Eisenhower and the updated information that I've come to know, and what my sort of relationship with him and my mission kind of is in the here and now, which is very united with these two incredible, beautiful women that I'm with right now. And Danny, thank you so much for putting on this incredible epic event and for hosting this wonderful roundtable. And Elena, I can't wait to meet you in person. And I'm going to come to Ireland too and see you there. And,
Yes,
and I
that's the
can't
plan.
believe, yeah, we're all going to be together, Alex and Michael Sala. And yeah, I'm doing an interview with him on Monday, which will be interesting. So it's been huge, you know, and I'm so grateful to have written the foreword to your book and really feel, you know, the presence of 𝗼𝗨 and just this larger picture stuff that is so reassuring and so beautiful to empower and illuminate. And I think it's going to just really spark up humanity's inspiration and faith in where we're headed as a humanity.
So exciting. And as you mentioned, the commander, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Andromedan contactee, who's been bringing information to the public for the last 40 years, will be there on stage in front of you. Dr. Michael Sala, the expert, world expert in exopolitics. Brad Olson, the intrepid Antarctica explorer and writer of the Beyond Esoteric series, revealing the biggest secrets that have tried to be hidden off the planet that are not. They're simply there. Tony Rodriguez, a guy who was taken as a child, sold into a satanic family and forced to work off planet. Oh, unbelievable. And we all know these beautiful people. Vivian 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is an actual human hybrid Arcturian. She will be on stage.
She gave me this necklace. Sorry.
Oh, show us.
I saw her at the last event I did. Sorry, keep going though.
Yeah, no, beautiful. Her and her husband, they make those, don't they? Those beautiful security shields. Who else? Sherry Divband, who's created 5D learning centers that we hope will roll out around the world, and our children can actually learn some useful information for a change. Dr. Barry Sands, who was a veterinary emergency doctor, who will teach us how to help our pets not be so stressed with her holistic practices. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who is a Mayan shaman. He only speaks Spanish, but he's going to be there doing ceremony on stage. We're bringing the indigenous with the galactics all in one place. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 will also be there delivering his ancient ceremony also. So many other people. And we want to welcome people who wish to be a vendor at the event to email. So you can go to galacticspiritualinformers.com. That's the website. galacticspiritualinformers.com. We're only allowing people with product who are only interested in raising the vibration and the healing of everyone on this planet. So please, if you are that person, you're welcome to email via the website. If I've missed out a speaker, I'm so sorry. There are 15 and they are just world-class on and off planet. We welcome you to be there. If you want to dress up as the person that you feel, you know, we all feel like we're an alien, we're this, we don't belong here. You are welcome to be who you feel. Come be who you feel, but above all, be love, spread love, and share love. My darling friends, my beautiful girlfriends, I'm so proud to know you, so honored to know you, and it's just such a blessing every day. We hold each other up behind the scenes during these times, that's for sure. Elena, may we get your parting words?
Be kind. In these times, you know, our greatest power is unity. The deep state is trying to divide us as much as they can in many fields. We've mentioned a few of them today with all these divisions. Be kind. First, if you're kind with yourself, you find your own balance and your own peace, and then you will not resonate with conflict anymore. And if everybody heals themselves, be kind with themselves, you'll be kind with others. And kindness, it's such a thrill. It's such a it's great feeling. You know, be kind. That would be my words. Kindness.
Beautiful. Laura Eisenhower.
That was so beautiful. Yes. Gosh, I absolutely agree. I mean, we have to look at what's being targeted and strengthen those places, you know, unity, sacred union, integration of polarity, self-love, self-care, humility, and like love and compassion for one another, and kindness, like you said. And that's all, you know, so incredibly important. I just have had such a wonderful time, you know, with both of you. And let's, you know, turn the weapons into tools for growth. Let's de-weaponize the weapons by not being victimized by them, by not being harmed by them or wounded by them anymore. Let's turn the weapons into tools for our greater growth. Let them serve as reminders of who we truly are and what our greater power is. And we can look at those weapons and those different things that they're trying to assault us with, and we can turn it around with our perspective and with a shift in our frequency, and we can turn those weapons into tools for our growth. And that's how we're going to de-weaponize the weapons, and we'll no longer be subject to the toxicity and to the injury that they are trying to produce, because our minds are more powerful. We are the override frequency, and we can crush it and neutralize it and alchemize it with that higher perspective and holding unity, consciousness, kindness, humility. And I'll leave it at that. My website's 𝗏𝗏𝐺𝑖𝑎.org. You can find out whatever I'm doing there.
Perfect. And thank you so much. It's been a joy and honor, as it always is, to sit in residence and presence with you two beautiful total warriors, and your love for humanity shines through. And it's such a joy to share space and time with you. It's a joy to share space and time with you out there, those of you that will watch with open hearts and loving minds. And, you know, we honor the growth that you're going through. We know that everybody, bar none, has suffered horribly, certainly the last few years, and we all stand shoulder to shoulder and we raise love frequency together. And this is how we have taken back this beautiful planet. Until next time, I send you my love, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.